Across the nation, dropout rates are improving. According to the U.S. Department of Education, more students are graduating than ever. But still,
if we have one kid drop out of school, that's one too many.
Wicomico County Superintendent Dr. John Frederickson has been working in education for decades, in the county for 6 years. He's seen his fair share of students drop out, and he's seen the consequences.
It's critically important to keep kids in school. The longer they stay in school, if not at least to get to be graduates of high school, is crucial because they will literally earn well over $100,000 more if they just have a high school diploma.
That's over the course of their careers, but they're also less likely to have a solid career in the first place. The national unemployment rate for those without a high school diploma is consistently higher than it is for high school graduates. The Maryland Department of Education prefers to look at dropout statistics from an integrated standpoint. They call it the 4-year cohort rate. Basically, instead of looking at how many kids dropped out in a given year, it looks at how many drop out in a given class over the course of 4 years, while also adjusting if a student re-enrolls or transfers. So for example, statewide for the class of 2010, when it was all said and done, 11.93% of the class had dropped out. The numbers have improved in Maryland. The next 4 graduating classes saw steadily decreasing dropout rates, down to 8.35% in 2014. Wicomico County's has also fallen from 15.41 to just over 11 in the same time frame. Despite the improvements, that's still 109 students. What is it that leads them to drop out? Dr. Frederickson says often they are enticed by something more interesting.
Kids are drawn off by a lot of different things. You know, if a young person gets interested in cars or motorcycles or whatever, those are pretty fun things, and they can also make money at it.
And money may be what ultimately pulls a kid away from school, not because it's fun to have, but because it's a must-have.
A lot of these young people are coming from a situation of poverty in the home. They qualify for free and reduced meals. They know that if they go out and make $100, life is going to be better at their house. And I know kids in our schools that are making the house payments and the rent payments for their families.
In Wicomico County, of the students who drop out, 22.4% live in poverty.
I know multiple kids that have dropped out over the years, and their only reason to drop out, they loved school, was to support their family. And they were out there working 2 and 3 and 4, part-time jobs with low pay and no benefits, and everybody's chipping in to put bread on the table.
Once that kid drops out, he or she becomes less likely to earn enough money to get the family out of that cycle of poverty. But as Dr. Frederickson says, it's tough to talk about the importance of education when there's barely enough food in the house. The key, he says, is instead of talking to the student about their opportunities, show them.
Why is it so important that kids have a vision of what might be down the line for them?
It's, I think, really hard to grind through one more story to read and write a little paper about, or another 20 math problems, especially today with the word problems, or some of the other projects, if you don't see some benefit down the line.
That's where this program comes in. It's called Naviance, software that helps students prepare for college and investigate career paths based on their interests.
And they can build it long-term. In other words, they can start building their resume at 6th grade, and they can keep adding it because it stays live throughout their entire educational career here at Wicomico County.
It also speeds up the process of finding out what a student is into, not because it replaces human counseling, but complements it.
The counselor can then spend a few minutes talking with the kids, say, okay, what about this? Have you thought about that? Have you tried this? Why not try this one course? You might like it.
Krista Brown is one of those counselors at Bennett High School.
There's career aptitude stuff on there. There are personality surveys on there. The parents become engaged in it. It's like an electronic portfolio and for the first time we have everything at our fingertips. The kids are super excited about it because it's individualized.
As a guidance counselor, Brown has seen firsthand what some students are up against in terms of poverty, and it can be bleak.
One child who was ashamed, and he didn't have any food and he didn't have anywhere to stay. And finally, in the 3rd day, he was falling asleep in school and he was just acting out of the ordinary. And I said, "What's going on with you?" And he had, he didn't have a place to live.
Brown says that particular student got help from a community organization and is staying in school, which is the goal of a big change in Maryland this year. A law from 2012 is going into effect, raising the minimum dropout age from 16 to 17. Dr. Fredrickson is optimistic.
If they are forced to stay until 17, that's just a little bit more of a nudge. They've only got one more year to go. That's only 180 days. Maybe they can make it.
Next year, it goes up to 18. Kids who try to drop out will likely end up in truancy court, where the end goal is to get students back into classes. Laws and software programs aside, Fredrickson says the top challenge for educators is to seek to truly understand the lives of their students. David Caldwell, 47 ABC. Somerset County, Maryland, a gracious, less frenetic part of the world, as their website puts it. It has miles of tidal bays and rivers, lush woodlands, and smogless skies. But it can also be a tough place to live. And it also has a school superintendent who doesn't shy away from that fact.
We are known for a lot of things you don't want to be known for: the highest poverty rate, lowest family median income, lowest individual income, highest childhood obesity rate. That's fine, those are our things, but they can't be excuses.
Dr. John Gaddis and Assistant Superintendent Tom Davis have a steep climb ahead. From 2010 to 2014, the state of Maryland's dropout rate per class steadily declined from just under 12% to just over 8%. In Somerset, it's been more variable, but always higher than the state rate, varying from almost 20% for the class of 2011 to 12.37% for last year's class. For the students who don't make it, the consequences are dire.
Especially in today's economy, and when we talk to the students, we tell them, what are you going to do? What jobs are there that you can go step into right now as a 16-year-old?
The aftermath of dropping out, being less likely to find a job, more likely to be incarcerated, and expected to earn over $10,000 less per year than graduates, all contribute to poverty, which is also seen as a cause of dropping out. And when you have a cause and effect feeding each other, you have a cycle.
When you have families that are in poverty and you have a high school student who sees mom struggling, then they may be tempted to get a job so that they can help mom bring in some income so they can pay the electric bill, they can pay the rent, they can put food on the table. Maybe they have some younger siblings.
It's what education researchers call a pull factor, something outside of school but inside the student pulls them away from academics, for example, financial and family needs.
People think about, well, they have 24 kids drop out, they're just 24 bad kids. Absolutely not. We have some very bright students that because of an economic or a family situation, or some get in trouble, they drop out. It's not all low-performing kids.
So how to break the cycle? Dr. Gaddis, who has a background in elementary education, and Mr. Davis in high school, know the dropout problem starts well before high school. And they say intervention can work, but only if teachers and mentors stay connected throughout a child's academic career.
In the last couple of years, we've taken a very different approach to this because early education matters. And to take all your money and time and put it in a high school problem, and that's where it's seen. It's seen as a high school issue, and it's not.
So what are they doing differently? Well, for one thing,
all of our students receive meals at no cost.
That's breakfast and lunch every day, every student.
When you're sitting in class and your stomach is rumbling, or it's a Friday and you know you won't get a good meal till that following Monday, things are going to happen. Discipline's going to happen.
They started last school year because of what they were seeing in past years in lunch lines. High schoolers they knew qualified for free and reduced price meals chose not to get them.
Free and reduced meals, your elementary students and your middle school students take that form, they take it, they turn it in, they don't care. When you go to high school, you are not going to stand in that lunch line and punch in that number and say you get a free meal. The social stigma that becomes attached to you when you're in high school to do that, we really thought was an issue.
Last year, the county served over 100,000 additional meals compared to the year before.
we believe discipline, academic achievement, and some other factors by looking at the numbers increased.
A major change, and in a county whose official motto is always the same, a major victory. The biggest spike was in high schools.
That was the biggest increase. And that was a surprise to me, but I understood it. I understood it being a high school principal. I understood it because a lot of children, they're not going to go through the lunch line.
And if you're thinking about how much of a financial hit the county took, think again. After a more than $71,000 deficit the year before, the Food and Nutrition Services program profited last year, $78,000, because of reimbursements under a federal program for districts with at least 40% of students below the poverty line. That's almost a $150,000 swing, red to black. Not only has it kept kids fed and saved county dollars, it has saved family money, $610 a year per student.
If you bought lunch every single day, that's what it would cost a parent for the year. Now, a lot of parents struggle to even put that together. Now they don't have to worry about that. They can go pay a cable bill, pay an electric bill.
The program is a success, but food alone isn't going to keep kids from dropping out.
I think we have to change a mindset too in our county, and that is that pre-K through 12 matters.
How do you change a mindset? How do you go about getting families talking about the importance of graduating?
Focus on education. We use robocalls, ConnectEd, where we call parents to let them know about things. We use social media. We use backpack mail. We use TV, radio, whatever we can to reach our parents. But I think what we have to do is build the relationship with the parents. And we continually say within our county, education matters. Education is important.
Part of engaging students and parents is Naviance, a software program also used in neighboring counties that helps students plan their future. All students start a profile in 6th grade, but Gaddis says educators need to stay focused and in touch with students throughout what he calls a critical time.
We've got to have a plan through graduation, but we've got to really focus on that 9th grade year. And that check mark of, okay, I've done this. Where are you at the end of 9th grade? Do we need to see you during the summer for a remediation course?
A 9th grader in Maryland this year won't be allowed to drop out of school until he or she is 18. It's part of a law passed in 2012, just now kicking in. The minimum dropout age has gone up from 16 to 17. It will increase again in the 2017-2018 school year to age 18.
It's going to be case by case, but I want to be positive about it. But the reality of the situation is if a student has said in their mind that they're just going to drop, I still believe they're going to drop. Now, we're still going to provide the interventions and do what we can to help.
Both Dr. Gaddis and Mr. Davis say they're not being negative about the law's potential effects, just realistic. And when it comes down to it, for them and all their teachers and mentors, keeping kids in school is not about a piece of legislation, but real human interaction with each student.
We're trying to customize whatever we can to help these high-risk dropouts, because we're starting to see, this student after 9th grade, like we said earlier, things didn't go well. You start looking at family history, you know what may be coming. So what can we do to encourage that child, but also, again, work with the family, understand their circumstances, and customize it within our confines of the school system so that the student can get that degree.
David Caldwell, 47 ABC. No matter how effective a school system is, there's only so much it can do in the lives of its students, because there's only so much time its students are actually in school.
Why is after school such a critical time?
After school is a fantastic resource, and it is also an attractive nuisance.
Especially now with the economic situation, a lot of parents are working, so students are going home.
Wicomico County Superintendent Dr. John Frederickson and Somerset County Superintendent Dr. John Gaddis both know firsthand unsupervised children can get into some serious trouble. According to the After School Alliance, more than 15 million students, about 3.7 million of them middle schoolers, are alone and unsupervised between 3 and 6 p.m., the peak hours for juvenile crime and experimentation with sex and drugs, including alcohol and cigarettes. And students who don't spend time in extracurriculars are 37% more likely to become teen parents than those who do.
It's a fantastic time to do some learning, and it's a horrible time to have the kids not have anything to do.
And so there are after-school programs. In Somerset County, their sales program invites struggling students in grades 3 through 7 after school, September through May, where learning and recreation are combined.
We know where they are. They're in a safe place in the school. And it's in many times, and the kids will tell you it themselves, it's a better situation for them rather than going home and just hanging out or playing video games. Not that the recreational part of that's not important.
The sales program involves these age groups because, as Dr. Gaddis puts it, the high school dropout problem starts well before high school. Assistant Superintendent Tom Davis says the students included are often struggling in one subject or another and are then invited to the program. He says the different vibe in the after-school program does wonders for both learning and discipline.
They want to be there. They enjoy being there. They're on point, and it is not daycare. It's not nap time. It's not all play. There's work that they have to do. But there's also those components of the recreation and the STEM and the health component. And then they don't leave until they've had a hot meal.
It's a successful program, but there's another critical time when students are out of school. Summer break, when students can lose much of what they've learned over the past school year in a phenomenon called summer slide, which especially affects low-income students.
They're typically not going to have some of those other experiences that a middle-class majority student might have.
Harlan Eagle and his colleagues are changing that and have been since 2003. That's when they started Salisbury Horizons, a summer program for talented students from low-income families. Eagle is the program director.
It's part of a national organization. We're one of 45 sites throughout the country. We follow our students during the summer. We provide a 6-week intensive academic summer learning program. And then we follow them throughout the school year with academic connections and also a high school coaching and support program.
After the 6 weeks in the summer, the staff stays in touch with students and their parents throughout the school year for mentoring and guidance. Horizons started out with one class, students leaving kindergarten for first grade, and every year they've added a class.
We have a lot of programs that are geared towards out-of-school time activities, and they're all important. The thing that I think sets us apart is that we get our kids from the time they're going into first grade, and we're sticking with them until high school graduation, and they're sticking with us.
Amira was one of those kids. In fact, she was in the first class. She says a lot of things in the program, like getting to visit a college campus, made learning contagious.
I feel like it makes your mind want more of education because you start to see what you can achieve, especially if you go to colleges and you're actually there, but you're not attending yet. You're at least one step closer to the door because you actually get to see well, I'm actually here. Maybe I can do this.
She could do it. The day we all talked, Amira was leaving for North Carolina, where she's now a freshman at Chowan University. Mike Angelot is the oldest of 6 kids and was too old to be a student in Horizons, as his younger sister Ruth is now. So Michael helps with hands-on teaching.
This year we talk about how animals in cold areas have blubber. So our teacher had in one bucket you had a hand go in where vegetable oil was, and then you would put your hand under ice water and it didn't feel much. And then you went in with just a plastic bag, and the children would pull their hands out real fast.
Horizons is made possible by a collaboration between and among several community organizations and groups. It ends up costing parents just $50 a year, but they can only take about 12 students each year.
I've noticed when I go in the high schools, I have teachers come to me and say, how do I get more students into your program?
So this year they're launching a second site for Horizons at Salisbury University,
which within maybe about 5 years will double the number of students that we're serving.
In Somerset County, the SAILS program is funded through a 21st Century grant, but the money is limited when it comes to transportation, so they've reached out to the community there as well. Money is vital, whether after school or during the summer, to making these programs work. But so is a more human element.
But you also have to have more trust, because the parents aren't just going to leave their kids anywhere, regardless if they're low income or not. You know, these are their kids. So they're going to make sure that wherever these students are, that they know that the person has the best interest for their child.
David Caldwell, 47 ABC.